What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? The beatings people take, and how quickly they get up from devastating blows. Or when someone is knocked unconscious and remains so for hours to days and is totally fine. If you are straight knocked TF out for an hour and then wake up, you aren't just gonna shake the cobwebs out and get back to taking down an entire mob family. You are ducked up. How long was I out? A few minutes. That's like super bad for you. You should go to the hospital. I love Archer for details like concussions and tinnitus. At the same time, Mallory groups 6.357s into the middle of Archer's chest and he's fine. I love Archer. Grill me a cheese. Why I'm not grilling you a cheese. When people slice the palm of their hand open for a drop of blood. That shit will take forever to heal, just prick your finger, damn. Looking at you, supernatural. The amount of times they slice their forearms for blood, they should look like recovered cutters with scars all over the damn place. They probably get some angel healing every season or so after the third. People taking their eyes off the road for like 5 seconds. They always turn themselves completely around to talk to people in the back seat or beside them, as if they couldn't hear each other otherwise. I genuinely had a friend that would do that. You'd ask him a question and he's completely look at you. It was ducking terrifying. You'd be sitting in the back seat and he'd be driving on the interstate just staring at you. Look up front, Brian. I genuinely had a friend. Rip Brian. He's still alive, but Op will never forgive him. He's dead to Op. How mature the high school students look. Have you ever looked at a high school yearbook? Just watch an episode of Glee. The freshmen are obviously in their 20s and 30s. Grease would like to have a word. Grease is the word, according to the intro song. Immediate DNA results. Similarly, immediate hacking. 2 seconds typing I'm in. Hackertyper.net. Call me Hackerman from now on. Somebody writing flawless code in 60 seconds. Most hackers in films even hack into highly secured government websites within seconds. Heck. I can't remember which movie show it was in, but they dusted the keyboard for fingerprints and got the login and password from that. Most amazing hacking I have seen. National Treasure. The password was Valley Forge. It was a bit difficult because she pushed the L and E twice. When the other guy was reading different word that combo but assumed there was only one of each. Okay, in the movie's defense, they didn't dust it for fingerprints, he coated her fingers in a solution so that they'd show up under UV on the keyboard. Need a guy out of plot for a little while? Why not just hit him on the head really hard? Yeah, he'll probably just have a nap and a 10-second headache when he wakes up. There is obviously no coffee in the cup. Orders coffee, immediately takes huge ass sip. Dude, let that shit cool off a minute. I used to think that was fake too. But my wife actually does that. We pour 2 cups of coffee in the morning. While I am blowing and sipping to cool that shit down, she has finished her first cup and poured her second. It is freaky. When I worked at the green coffee place, we'd have old ladies asking us for lattes steamed to 190 degrees who would start drinking right from the cup, old dudes who would complain our boiling hot black coffee wasn't hot enough. I don't understand how. My grandmother is just like this. She orders her coffee extra hot and it is never hot enough for her. I think over the years she must have just burnt off the pain layer on her tongue or something. Lol. Duckers who yank out their ibs, tugged on mine once and I fucking cried. I remember waking up from a surgery and trying to do this when I was a kid because I was groggy and scared and the pain was so bad I threw up on myself. You were a much braver kid than I was. I got in 4 as a child and nurse said try not to move too much. So I laid there like a statue for hours, not even talking, thinking something bad will happen if I move. That reminded me of this great David Mitchell quote from an episode of Would I Lie to You? In order to save the lives of reckless children, warnings are calibrated for their safety, the result of which is that the timorous children live in a state of perpetual terror. Blowing up a grainy picture makes it clearer. Enhance. Uncrop. Edit. Thank you for the silver, kind stranger. For the uninitiated, U2.B. People with long hair, often women, fighting with their hair down. I can't even eat noodle soup with my hair down, never mind doing anything remotely physical. Working as a waitress, or some other near minimum wage poverty wage job and having excessive time off and money and things like huge houses. This exact thing, the single mom waitress in a 3,000 square foot apartment with a 2-year-old car and an amazing haircut. People Googling exactly what's happening to them and getting the answers they're looking for. Happens a lot in scary movies. A house is being haunted by the ghost of a tall man, and the owners Google tall man ghost and find exactly the article that explains who the ghost is and what happened to him. If nothing else, they should get a thread talking about it with no answers. Yeah, there's this guy with no face who keeps ringing my doorbell every night. Any idea what's going on with that? Bob-2210 May 1, 2013 Ask him what he wants and let us know. Stan-1430 May 2, 2013 OK. BRB. Bob-2206 May 2, 2013 Find out anything? Stan-1224 May 4, 2013. Stan-1920 August 6, 2013 Anything? Stan-1403 May 3, 2015. Or, the old classic of deleted LO man, that solves the mystery perfectly. Thank you. Edit, NVM, found the answer by myself. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but the people that bother to go back to edit their post in that way and not share what worked for them need to be shot into the sun. The food. The poor, long-suffering food. No one eats it. No one enjoys it. People go to restaurants primarily to order something, have it arrive, and then have an argument and storm out. Hashtag X200B, Ada, now already in this comment thread many times. 1. Food is a nightmare to shoot for continuity quality actors getting full reasons. 2. Yes, we all hate the someone cooks an epic breakfast and someone else just runs through and grabs a piece of toast scene. And it's always toast. And what psychopath eats a whole piece of dried toast without anything to wash it down? 3. Yes, Brad Pitt eats. And Chris Pratt. To be fair, by take 28, the food's probably cold and dry as duck. Or can you imagine they bring it out fresh every time and the actor's just eating steak after steak? True. No one really wants to eat stage food. I get that it's a reality of how filming works, but like people living in New York as baristas sharing a 1,500 square foot apartment between two people, it's annoyingly, obtrusively unreal. According to House Hunters, those baristas could probably upgrade to a 2,500 square foot penthouse if they wanted to. Bad guy receives a mortal wound like a point-blank gunshot to the torso or deep knife wound and just lays there bleeding profusely for a minute with the protagonist immediately forgetting about them, then is able to somehow stand up and have like an 8-round boxing match with the protagonist before finally being finished off. Would expand that to fatally injured characters in general all getting the power to teleport when not on screen. The standard car flips over 5 times and catches on fire, and every single ducking time, Vin Diesel walks out unscathed. No cleanup after sex. Or before. Silencers do not mute the gun. It only makes the sound more tolerable. The scene in John Wick 2 where John and Cassian are sneakily shooting at each other with silenced pistols in the middle of a crowded subway terminal is so ducking stupid, and I love it. And John Wick mostly got the gun stuff right. He reloads, not after 12 shots out of a revolver, has trigger discipline, and actually carries his rounds. I was actually upset at that scene because they got most of the stuff right but failed so much on it. The fight or flight response doesn't seem to exist in horror movies. If I come across a friend's dead body in the woods, my first instinct isn't to investigate the scene. I am getting the duck out of there and calling the police. Edit, in the context that the presence of a killer is there. I kinda wanna add something to this. One thing I hear is when they see the monster killer thing, people say, why don't they just run? When you see something like that, you have no idea what to do in that situation. Or this might just be me and am the idiot in the horror movie that dies first. Why I say this is because about a year ago I was walking up from my barn at night, live on small hobby farm, And in between the barn and my house there is a field. It's about 50 feet from gate to gate. I was about 10 feet from the first gate when I heard a heavy thump. I stopped and I could feel my skin go white. About 2 more thumps later I saw an eye, not 2, just 1 eye reflecting from my crappy headlamp. I was trying to figure out if I should turn my back to it and run back to the barn or up to the house. After a few seconds I realized it was my horse. My mom apparently let the horses in the between field to eat some grass. Also his head turned to the side, which is why I could only see 1 eye. I probably had a solid 5 seconds I could ran but didn't. So being scared stiff is a real thing. It makes sense in an evolutionary way, as many predators sense movement instead of colors. I mean, we weren't always the one that were hunting, but hunted. It's also strategically beneficial not to run from predators. Humans will outrun anything in a marathon, but we lose to everything in a sprint. Running away, especially at night, means you're very likely to fall if you aren't on a paved road. Running means that you are definitely prey. Making yourself big and screaming at the predator might not save you, but they're far less likely to attack something that's clearly aggressive and aware of it than something running away.